What is up guys, my name is Hubristic. This is going to be a relatively short video today. I just wanted to have a quick chat about a rumour that I saw today regarding one of my other hobbies, which is the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop game released by Games Workshop. So there's a rumour which has been posted today online which has said that this year, 2016, there is going to be no Codex Chaos Space Marine release, and that it will be at the earliest 2017. Now, I have one close friend who plays Chaos Space Marines, and I myself had just started collecting a Khorne Demonkin army, so this topic is fairly relevant to both of us. But as I was looking through the comments on this website, I saw a few theories as to why people thought the Chaos Space Marines weren't going to be getting a release this year, and I just wanted in this quick vlog to take a look at a few of them and share some of my thoughts on the matter. So for those of you who don't know, the Chaos Space Marines are essentially the fallen evil brethren of the most popular and importantly best-selling line from Games Workshop, the Space Marines, one of which you can see in the video that is going along with this vlog. Essentially the Chaos Space Marines are the de facto main enemy of the Space Marines and the main bad guys of the 40,000 setting. As such, the fact that their codex, which by now is the oldest codex in the game, and I'm not counting some of the smaller codexes like the Sisters of Battle and that kind of thing, this is the oldest, what I would call main codex in the game, having been released way back in 2012. The fact that it's not getting an update is relatively odd. Now, in editions gone by, a 2-year gap between codexes wouldn't really have raised an eyebrow because the time between new army books was a lot longer, but since 6th edition, for which Chaos Space Marines were one of the poster boy armies, the rate of codex release by Games Workshop has been ridiculously fast, and the fact that this army hasn't had a new book, and in that same time several armies such as Space Marines and Eldar have had 2, does seem a little bit weird. So what gives? Why is that? The biggest and, in my opinion, the most dramatic rumour being thrown around is that they're going to be squatted, or for people that don't play the game, it means they're basically going to be removed from the setting and they're just going to be wiped out, however that may be, killed off, or some lore background story that removes them from the game. And this is, in my opinion, really quite outrageous, and I think it's pretty much impossible. It's never going to happen. Not only are the Chaos product lines, as far as I'm aware, fairly popular, being the favourite kind of power armoured style army which a lot of people enjoy collecting, but in terms of the lore and the background, they are, aside from the good side of the Imperium, the most integral part of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And if they were to go away, the entire game system would have to change right down to its core, not so much maybe in the rules, but in terms of the story for every other race in the setting. There would have to be massive sweeping changes to explain everything and get them up to date with the removal of chaos, because it's such a prevalent force throughout the entire galaxy and it affects almost every army in the Warhammer 40,000 game. Now, it is worth mentioning that these kind of changes aren't unprecedented. Just earlier this year, or in fact, no, in 2015, we're now in 2016, the entire Warhammer Fantasy game, which was Games Workshop's other relatively large IP, was completely destroyed and replaced, much to the chagrin of a lot of fans. So, in that sense, there is scope for such large dramatic changes to take place. I just don't think that it's very likely, considering there's been no indication that the Warhammer 40,000 game itself is going to go away. As far as we're aware, that's here to stay, and Chaos Space Marines are one of the foremost and important factions, so if they were going to completely replace Warhammer 40,000 and change it, then obviously I think something like this could happen. But the fact that the game itself, the core game itself, is staying, I just can't see them getting rid of one of the biggest factions in it. The second idea that I've seen thrown around is that Chaos Space Marines as a single book are going to be removed. This has a precedent in the recently released Khorne Demonkin book, which focuses on one specific god of chaos, and that is Khorne. And for those of you who aren't aware, again, there are 4 main gods of chaos, and the Chaos Space Marine armies, not always but quite often, are split up between worship of a particular one of these deities. Now obviously this kind of change makes sense from a financial perspective, because it means Games Workshop will have 4 different books to sell, and it also means that potentially a great deal more pardon me, it also means that potentially a great deal more effort and thought can go into each individual book, which will make those individual armies a lot more unique and varied than has been possible as a combined codex in the past, unless of course you're counting the 3.5 edition Chaos Codex, which I never played with, but as far as I'm aware was absolutely incredible. So once again, this is a possible outcome, but I think it seems relatively unlikely. In my opinion, the Khorne Demonkin book is very, very similar to the 2012 Chaos Space Marine Codex, so I really don't get the impression that this is the kind of first push towards making 4 new unique armies, because if it was, you would think that they would take the time to update and amend a lot of the rules which it makes sense for them to do. Instead, they've pretty much just copied and pasted it from the Chaos Space Marine book into the Khorne Demonkin book. And in addition to this, several unique and relatively important characters from the original Chaos Space Marine Codex are notably absent from this book. And now, unless these characters are again being removed from the game, it just doesn't make sense for them not to be included in these new books if these new ones are the replacement for a single codex. A third line of thought is that in keeping with the ever-increasing rush of unit and codex release, there may be a new edition of Warhammer 40,000 coming out before too long. Although 6th edition only came out in 2012 and 7th followed in 2014, prior to that there has generally been around a 4 or more year gap between editions. But if the trend continues as it has done since 6th, we may be seeing an 8th edition of the game come out sometime in 2017, and it may be that Games Workshop are saving a big important fan favourite army like Chaos for that. I personally can't see yet another edition of the game coming out quite so quickly, not only because of the backlash that Games Workshop would receive from all their fans who will be having to shell out money to buy yet another edition of the rules, but because, in my opinion, the rules for 7th edition are actually relatively solid. The quick turnaround from 6th to 7th came about, in my opinion, because there were so many little rules that needed amending or fixing or adjusting, and for Games Workshop it was simply easier to re-release a new edition, a new system, with all the changes done in this one new book. So again, whilst the possibility of a new edition is there, it's not one that I put much stock in, and so I don't think the Chaos Space Marine Codex is being saved for that. The final possibility, and the one which I am, to be honest, most confident in and also most excited for, is that there are going to be some big changes coming for the Chaos Space Marines. Much like the Dark Eldar back in 2010, I believe, there's going to be an enormous army changing overhaul which would completely reinvigorate and reinvent almost all of the lines for the Chaos Space Marines. And this kind of goes towards explaining why the delay has taken so long. At the Warhammer World Open Day, which I went to in October, the rules designers at the kind of talk sessions informed us that they only created rules for the models after they had been designed and made by the design team and shipped to them. So they didn't make the rules until they had a model in their hand. So if an entirely new aesthetic and line of models is being designed for an army as big and extensive as Chaos, then it makes sense that it's going to take a long time for everything to get through the design process, through the rules creation process, and through the testing process. And funnily enough, yes, apparently they do test for about 4 to 6 weeks, or so they said. This would also fit quite nicely with the release of the Demonkin books, which could be used in theory by Games Workshop as a stopgap to help keep some of the interest going in the Chaos Space Marine lines, as well as ensure that sales for the Chaos Space Marine models continues before this big re-release in 2017. And I know that may sound like a dick move, but this is Games Workshop we're talking about, so it wouldn't be entirely surprising. So, in my opinion, the rumour that there is going to be no Chaos Space Marine release this year is not one of doom and gloom, and I actually think it's probably quite likely. I think we won't get anything this year apart from some new demon killing books if we're lucky, but potentially it's going to be a sign that we've got something incredibly big and incredibly exciting to look forward to in 2017. And if they can keep this momentum and interest in the army carried on through the Demonkin books, then I think when this huge overhaul of the line is unveiled in 2017, they're going to have a huge amount of happy buyers. So those are just a few of the ideas that I've seen thrown around on various forums online. If there are any others that I've missed or that you've thought about or read about online, then please do let me know in the comments below. But what do you think about them? Do you think the rumours are accurate, or do you think we are going to see some Codex Chaos Space Marines and new Chaos Space Marine models in 2016? And if the rumour does turn out to be correct, what do you think the reason for it is? Do you think it's because they're getting rid of the army, or do you think it's because they're completely reinventing it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to know what your thoughts and hear about some other theories as to what's happening in Games Workshop and what's happening with the Chaos Space Marine lines. So let me know in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe for more of a great gaming, movie and tabletop content from me. Until next time though, I will catch you later guys.